She said she found someone who understood her better. I had already canceled the wedding, sold the house, watched her new man lose his job, and she ended up begging while I walked away free. I am 34, and until just a few months ago, I truly believed that my life was going exactly as planned. I was engaged to Emily, who was 28, and our wedding was only 6 weeks away. Everything was supposed to be perfect. The venue was booked, invitations sent, the honeymoon planned, and we even paid a down payment on a house that we would move into right after returning. On paper, life looked perfect. Friends and family kept telling us how lucky we were, how great we looked together, and how everything seemed so right. For a long time, I believed that too. Emily and I had been together for 3 years. She was full of energy, outgoing, always laughing, and always the one keeping our social life active. I was quieter, more thoughtful, and she always said she liked that balance between us. I handled big decisions and planning, while she added excitement and fun. That's how I thought our relationship worked. But about 2 months before the wedding, things began to change. Emily started working late more often. At first, I didn't think much about it. Everyone gets busy. But then it became more than that. She had mood swings, argued over small things, and her phone was always with her, face down, notifications silenced. When I asked, she said she was tired or stressed about wedding planning. My gut already knew something was wrong, even before I wanted to accept it. I noticed small signs. New clothes she didn't mention buying, errands that didn't add up, and a coldness where there used to be warmth. But I didn't want to believe it. Weeks away from the wedding, I thought, who cheats now? So I stayed calm and watched. I noticed patterns. Tuesdays and Thursdays she worked late without fail, and she guarded her phone closely. One night, I saw a message preview that said enough to make me certain. Someone was calling her beautiful in a way that wasn't just friendly. I didn't confront her immediately. I wanted proof, not assumptions. A close friend who knew tech helped me discreetly confirm what I suspected. Within days, the truth hit me. Emily was cheating with an older, divorced man she saw almost every day. The details didn't matter as much as the betrayal. Our wedding, the house, our future. Everything was a lie behind my back. I sat in our apartment staring at the wall, feeling a strange calm. I had spent years trusting her, and she had been lying while talking about flowers and invitations. I knew confronting her immediately would be a mistake. I needed to be calm, careful, and 3 steps ahead. If she could betray me this deeply, I needed to be even smarter. I wasn't going to play the heartbroken victim. I was going to take control of the ending. Then I noticed something else. Transfers from our joint wedding fund to her personal credit card, thousands of dollars over a month. They weren't for wedding expenses. They were for herself. She was stealing from the fund we built together. That's when I decided to take control. I didn't yell or confront. I stayed calm. I planned my exit quietly. 3 weeks before the wedding, I canceled everything. The venue, photographer, caterer, all refunded. Emily had no idea. She was still choosing centerpieces while I quietly unwound the entire wedding behind her back. Step 2 was the house. She loved showing off that it was ours, but it was entirely in my name. She had contributed nothing. I contacted a realtor, put the house on the market, and sold it fast. Papers signed, deal closed. Emily was still living in a dream that no longer existed. Finally, the day came when she chose to confess. A Sunday afternoon, sunlight filling the room. She thought she was in control, that she would break my heart. She said, "I found someone who understood me better." I stayed calm and replied, "Already taken care of. Wedding canceled, house sold, papers signed. Your new man? He got fired." Her face went pale. She couldn't react. She stammered, "What? You sold the house?" I answered calmly, "Yes. You didn't contribute. You took money from our wedding fund. Everything is done." She sat stunned, realizing she had no script, no control. She whispered, "I was going to tell you. I know." I smiled slightly and said, "That's what makes this perfect. You thought you'd hurt me, but you've been irrelevant to my plans for weeks." Over the next days, Emily tried to beg, tried to blame, tried to use emotions to manipulate me. But I stayed calm. I had already taken back my life, step by step. I packed, moved into a new apartment, and focused on my future. Emily lost the wedding, the house, her reputation, and her new man's job. She was begging, panicking, and I walked away free. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't beg or try to fix anything. I just stayed calm, controlled every step, and let her own lies destroy her plans. Months later, I am free, focused on a life with honest, loyal people. Emily, she is left begging. Her life collapsed from the choices she made. I walked away clean. I walked away strong. I sat there for a while, just staring at the ceiling, trying to process everything that had happened over the past few months. I thought about the life I had imagined with Emily, how we had planned every detail together, and how she had betrayed that trust in silence. It was almost surreal to think that while I had been dreaming about our future, she had been making secret plans with someone else, smiling at me, and talking about flowers and colors as if nothing was wrong. I felt no anger at that moment, only a strange sense of calm. I realized that my power was not in confronting her outright, but in watching, waiting, and acting when the time was right. For weeks, I observed every pattern, every little change in her routine. Tuesdays and Thursdays were always the same. Late nights at work, a phone clutched too tightly, messages deleted too quickly. I noted every detail and used it to plan my moves carefully. I was not acting out of revenge or hatred. I was acting out of self-respect and a desire to take back control of my life. Each step I took was calculated. Every refund, every phone call, every interaction with vendors and the realtor was done quietly, efficiently, and without her knowledge. The moment of truth came on that Sunday afternoon. She walked into the living room with that fake sad expression, her eyes trying to convey regret and heartache. She sat down and took a deep breath, probably rehearsing her lines for days. "I found someone who understood me better," she said, waiting for me to react. But I didn't. I leaned back, calm and collected, and responded with the words that would change everything in her world. "Already taken care of, wedding canceled, house sold, papers signed, and your new man has been fired." Her face changed in an instant. Shock, confusion, and panic replaced the confidence she thought she had. She tried to speak, tried to argue, but I didn't let her. I sat there quietly, allowing her to realize that every step she thought would hurt me had already been neutralized. For the first time in months, she was powerless. She whispered weakly, "I was going to tell you. I know." I smiled, calm and confident, and said, "That's what makes this perfect. You thought you could destroy me, but you've been irrelevant to my plans for weeks." Over the next several days, Emily tried everything. She begged, she blamed, she tried to use emotions to manipulate me into feeling guilty or weak. She talked about the memories we shared, the plans we had made, the dreams she thought I still cared about. But none of it worked. I had already taken back my life. I was already walking on a path that she could no longer influence. Each time she spoke, I listened calmly, not responding with anger or pain, but with the quiet assurance that I had already won. Meanwhile, her world began to collapse around her. Without the wedding, without the house, and without the safety net of her new man's job, she was left with nothing. Slowly, word spread about the canceled wedding, about her infidelity, and about her new man losing his position. People who once admired her confidence began to see the reality. Friends and family were shocked, but most of them knew the truth. I didn't have to say much. I let the facts speak for themselves. Emily's carefully constructed image of power and control fell apart piece by piece, while I watched calmly, stepping into the new life I had always planned for myself. By Friday, when the movers arrived, Emily had not packed a single thing. She still clung to the illusion that maybe I would change my mind, that I would beg, that I would allow her another chance. But as I watched my boxes get loaded, I knew that this chapter was completely over. She had no control over what came next. For the first time since we met, she was powerless, and I was free. Each step I took from that apartment, each box carried to my new life, was a symbol of freedom, of taking back what was rightfully mine, and of walking away from lies, betrayal, and deception. I walked away free, leaving behind everything that was never meant to be. The wedding was gone, the house was gone, and Emily was left to pick up the pieces of a life she had tried to control and manipulate. She tried to beg, to plead, to use regret and memories against me, but it was too late. I had already taken back my time, my energy, and my future. I had learned that calm, careful action and patience were far more powerful than anger or revenge. I packed my last box, closed the door to the apartment that once held our dreams, and stepped into a life of my own making. A life with honesty, loyalty, and freedom. Emily's world collapsed while mine began afresh. She lost the wedding, the house, her reputation, and the man she thought would rescue her from reality. And me? I gained peace, clarity, and the knowledge that no one could betray me and hold power over me again. The lessons were clear, the victory quiet, and the freedom complete. I didn't need to shout, to cry, or to beg. I simply took control, stayed calm, and walked away strong. That chapter was over, and my new chapter had just begun.